where does he sit? Where the fuck do we sit? Because there are actually a fair few mountain bike podcasts as well. Or should we even mention other people's podcasts? I think it's cool.
No, I think we should. It is interesting because I did this whole story about like how the podcast has changed and put it out on an email and LinkedIn. I don't know if I sent you.
Oh no, you never sent it to me. Yeah.
I'll send it to you. So it is interesting, and it is something that I would like to talk about actually, mate. That we've never actually really spoken about it. We've gone through this whole thing, but not really spoken about it. And it'd be interesting if you have any questions. It'd be great. So originally, the podcast started. I've talked about this a million times, so I don't need to go over it too much for people. But like, it started as a way to promote a business.
Yeah.
It was the Hook It podcast to promote Hook It, to sort of help marketing and generate sales and stuff like that. It started off speaking to friends, basically. The first 10 guests, if you look, are just mates of mine. They're industry people, pro riders, whatever, but they're just friends, basically. And then fast forward quite a while, it picked up quite a lot of steam, and it was like, there's no secret that it was the first real mountain bike podcast. And it was just by chance, like it wasn't it just happened by chance, really. And then I think you, and James will probably go through this with his, you figure out who you are as a podcaster and a person. Like, I'm not that guy anymore to try and sit and go through someone's career and, talk about training and bike geometry and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's not
Do you feel like
me.
you tried for a bit?
Yeah, I did try for a while, dude. 4 years, probably. 3 years? 3 or 4 years?
Really, yeah. You feel like when you listen back now, you think like...
Yeah, and some of those episodes were probably quite good, but...
Yeah.
It's a lot of work as well, dude. You think, okay, you have a guest every week or 2 weeks, and fair play to the guys that are doing that. Chris at Downtime, for example, and, well, all of the other ones, really, that are doing all the research. And sometimes you don't do too much, but a lot of the time, if you don't know the guest, you've got to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. You've got to know enough about them. It's a lot of research, and I always say to anyone, sit and have a conversation you don't know with someone for 3 hours. It's not an easy thing to do. Like, it's a practice, it's a skill that you have to sort of hone and adapt and figure out and stuff like that. So it was a huge journey learning all that stuff. But again, you sort of figure out. And obviously when we started doing our thing a little bit more, it was like, no, this is a bit more me, but also it's unique for our space in mountain biking. I think there does need to be
a hang,
exactly. And that, and when you think about it, we've spoke about it a million times, dude, off air, but some of the best podcasts and my favorite podcasts are literally this. You're watching two people just chat and talk about their life, and you go on a journey with them. And yes, we drop mountain bike stuff, and we might have inside knowledge sometimes and stuff like that. But for the most part, that's what I enjoy about podcasts. So that's where I don't know where we fit. I think we fit somewhere in the middle of sort of we're a mountain bike action sports show that sort of, our audience is mountain bikers, let's be honest. It's mountain bikers and action sports people. But sometimes you hear from people who are like, they don't ride, they just listen,
Really,
which is crazy to think. But,
that's
maybe
like
we cross over a little bit into sort of culture and comedy, I dare say, in a weird way. I know. I don't know. It's interesting, man, when you think... And I think that's what James is going to have to go through. You don't want to be just another...
Like working it out.
Another podcast that's just breaking down races. Because, dude, there's Pulp, there's Main Event, there's Gypsy Tales doing his stuff. There's Racer X platform, which has got fucking 50 podcasts on it or whatever. Like, it's not... Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's a bloody good advice to anyone doing actually anything, really, is like, be actually authentic or be yourself, That sounds so cheesy, but it actually is the case, isn't it? Because not only is it important, it's also like sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, you can't
fake it on this thing, man. Like,
no, exactly. That's what I sort of like about
it.
Meeting people, because they like, I've met a few people being up the woods digging. Loads of people have come up just to have a look whilst we're doing the work. And a lot of them listen to the podcast and they've said, "Oh, I heard about it on the podcast," or whatever.
Mm.
There isn't any faking, really. There's like,
I think
you do know who those people are, don't you? When you
nailed it with that word. It's authenticity, and you can go through. And I've done it, doing various episodes about athletes. Oh, one sec. Yo.
I can't move it.
Ollie, I'm just gonna have to go and move my car.
Hey, no worries.
No idea. late. I've got like 2 minutes.
I'll be 1 sec.
Oh god, panic.
Can't make it move.
He's in trouble, man. Imagine right now I heard Davy's life be ended by his girlfriend. Just like a huge domestic goes on. Get off me! Ah! Davy? No! And then... Get inside! Round the back! Kitchen, clear! Living room! We've got body down! ID him! Check upstairs! Upstairs, clear! I can't fucking carry this on. Too weird, right? Jesus.
Wow. She really fucked the flow of the thing up there, didn't she? Was there a worse time to do that?
During you being downstairs, I just imagined that I could hear you and her have like a domestic, and then her killing you, and then the police turn up, and I was just doing sound effects in the end. It's fucking weird. And I realised what I was doing. I was just on my own doing sound effects into a microphone. Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry, Benny. Nice little cut there for you. But yeah, being authentic is important, and I think I went through that thing of, you know, not faking it. I was very open and honest about a lot of stuff. You know, my whole vibe, even having guests on that I didn't know, was very much a hang. I think that's what I was trying to create. Yeah. I didn't want people. I've never wanted this thing ever to feel like an interview. I don't want people to be sat there and it feels like Jonathan Ross, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, certainly by the time you had me on as a guest, it was definitely just a hang. It wasn't like, I didn't think any of those episodes were stiff or rigid. It'd be fucking funny going back to those and listening to them, because obviously I didn't know you at all. That was the first thing I knew of you. You know.
Yeah. But people do still listen, which is crazy. You know, you look at the stats sometimes, and you know, let's say episode 4, I'll have like 50 listens in a month, and you're like, who's still going back through this stuff? You know, it does happen. I'd do it maybe with a podcast I found that was about something that I liked. I'd go back and I'd like, you know, look at certain different, you know, episodes and stuff maybe.
Yeah.
It's kind of does, but yeah, it all boils down to being authentic in everything you do in life, and I think being open about it is something that I'd like to think that I've been with this forever. You know, I even did the behind the bike stuff, and the behind the bike episodes were obviously about bikes, but I was like, I'm not that guy to be breaking bikes down, geometry, specs. It's not me, but I can talk to people. So it was like, okay, we'll just get people on and just talk about them, not necessarily the bike, but it'll all come round full circle in a way. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, but I think this now is extremely authentic because we're just ourselves. We just hang out, we just chat shit, we have some fun with it, and
I've made a page of notes. I haven't fucking even touched them. It's pretty weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That happens every week, right?
How long have we been going for, anyway? 34 minutes.
34 minutes, yeah.
Fuck?
Yeah.
Maybe we should do more research and try a bit harder. I don't know. Maybe our listeners can help us on that one.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
Please.
I was about to do that, actually. So again, I was going to mention, obviously, going through this rebrand. You know, if people maybe have seen the mail shot and stuff or read the post. But basically, this all boils down to the fact that the podcast pretty much outgrew that name in a way. It wasn't the future for us, and where we sit in this space is, I think, creating more of a brand around the Ride Companion. It's more of a multifaceted thing. You know, we're working on products behind the scenes. We've got a website launching soon. We're going to do like some collab products, hopefully, and stuff. Yeah, that's where I see this going. The Hook It podcast was a bit of a barrier to doing anything like that. The logo was pretty shitty. It didn't have much brand identity, in my opinion. Although people, you know, would often even buy like Hook It podcast stem caps and stuff like that, which is amazing, and thank you to everyone who has. It's not a brand identity. It was missing something, you know.
Mate, it looks trick. When you see the icon, I just think, yes,
it's cool, isn't it? Really
looks
cool.
Trick, yeah,
it does,
like
yeah.
It.
And also, yeah, I just think going forward, this is us. Like we've found a bit of a groove. I think we've found our little space within this community of mountain bikers. Some people will love it, some people won't get it, some people will want more of an interview style, and if you do, it's there. You know, it is there now. You go to Downtime, you go to Pink Bike podcast, Vitals podcast. If that's what you want, like, it's there. But we don't really offer that. We just offer a hang, and we sometimes talk about mountain biking.
Yeah, totally. No, I think that works for me, dude. I don't want to talk about bikes too much.
And also,
I live enough I talk about bikes enough just in everyday life.
Yeah.
I think that's what. Yeah, that's
and
what
also,
for me is like that. We're constantly talking about bikes, so almost this is like an escape. You can talk about even sometimes something more normal, which is
just talk about life. You know, we're all trying to make it through this thing, aren't we? So and also, you know, been brutally honest with the listeners. The Hook It podcast has been a barrier to certain brands coming on board, because they look at it and go, well, you're attached to a distribution company.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Yeah, that makes sense.
It doesn't. Why would you promote us and we pay you to do that? It was wishy-washy. So now we've made a bit of a clean cut. This thing is always going to be powered by Hook It. At the end of the day, it helps keep the lights on. The promo code will always be there for people to use, but making it a bit more of a separate thing is the future, and that's the way we're going. And we've got lots going on with this thing. We're not just going to sit here and talk shit every week. Well, we are, but there's going to be other things that people will be able to get involved with, right? Like ride days and fucking we are. You know, there's all sorts going to be happening, but that you know, I always look at, not to waffle on too much, but my inspiration comes from comedy podcasts. You know, your likes of Fighter and the Kid, King and the Sting, you know, a little bit of Rogan stuff, whatever, and Gypsy Tales, actually, a hell of a lot of inspiration from what Jace does. And, you know, you look at what that's, you know, Jace, for example, with the brand Gypsy Tales is strong as fuck. Like, you know, you want to buy the merch, you want to represent it, you want to show, I listen to this thing, like I'm part of that community. And I feel like that's what we're starting to create now, you know, like quite heavily.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Authenticity, man. And again, you can sit here and there's, not to waffle on too much, but I know there's been, you know, episodes I've done with certain guests, and they'll bring up, I'm not that guy to talk about like race history. I'm not. It doesn't go in. I'm not that guy. Like, I don't remember what position
not
Greg Minnaar finished at Fort William in 2008. Like, it's not me. But, you know, people will go, oh, remember that race 2008? And I'm like, you know, you can sit there and it's fake because you're like, oh, yeah. But really, inside you're going, I ain't got a fucking clue what you're on about, dude. Like, I wasn't even into mountain biking then. So, authenticity, mate, is exactly it. And I hope people appreciate that and see that we're just trying to be ourselves and have fun with this thing, you know? It's interesting. It's so interesting, though, how it's evolved. I think it's, you know, even though I'm a big part of this thing, like I'm still fascinated to watch how it's like evolved into how I started with this, into what this is now.
Yeah, and it's a lot of hours spent for you, isn't it? It's like, you know, you've got like a library there of different episodes you've done, and
hundreds.
And you know, like you're saying, exactly. And like you're saying, like the earlier ones, probably you did shitloads of like research for and race results and like this and that and background information,
watching races and like. And, you know, sometimes, being brutally honest, you're not that interested. Like, you get a guest on for the sake of having a big name on. And you're just like, I'm not even that bothered. Like, I just want to sit and chat shit. Like, hear about the fun stuff, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Super interesting.
It's cool. I actually think that's...